got into it, not for titles, not for recognition, not for money. You know, it's not so much about wanting to fight, it's about I have to fight. It's always been like that. You know, I couldn't just not fight. If I don't fight, then I get walked on.
Big respect to everybody up in here. I'm not from here, but I run here. I run New York. The Irish run New York. Call Floyd. Call Floyd, tell him I'm right here. See what he does. He ain't gonna do shit. He'll do fucking nothing. Shout out the Irish in New York. We built this city. We built this city with bare fucking hands. And now we're back. Where's that bread? Where's my money? Floyd, where you at? Where you fucking at? I'm from a small place in Dublin, Ireland called Conor, where they throw grenades through a letterbox. They throw grenades through the letterbox at their mother's home and go running off laughing. That's where the fuck I come from. So they come out with a new place and be treated by the people and show love. $17.1 million gate at Madison Square Garden, the highest gate there was. It broke Lennox Lewis on the Holyfield record. Attendance 50, almost 16,000. Broke Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier's record. It's an honour to be a young Irishman from the middle of nowhere to come over and be treated with love by all you people. I swear, I have nothing but respect for every single person in here that's grinding for what they deserve, that's putting in that work, going against all doubt, and going against what's theirs. Nothing but respect. Keep going, keep working. With hard work, with belief, anything is possible. I'm a two-weight world champion in the biggest organization in free fighting, period. There's no limitations where I come from. You can kick, you can knee, you can elbow. It's bare shin, bare bone. Floyd's not ready for this. Much respect to Floyd. He's a solid businessman. What he has been able to do, he is a fucking animal at what he has been able to do. But as far as real fighting, as far as true, pure, unarmed combat, Floyd don't want none of this. I say, he does not want none of this. People don't even ask him. He wants it under boxing rules. He wants a boxing match. He doesn't want to fight. So I want to respect everyone in here. I love every one of you. Give Floyd a shout, tell him I'm coming. Tell him to run around Showtime offices. I want 100 million cash to fight him on the boxing rules because he's afraid of a real fight. Shout out to him. I'm not going to buddies no more. I'm going to put it back to the DJ. Big respect everybody. Let's do that, DJ. It's only Tuesday. It's Tuesday already to this motherfucker. It's Tuesday about running a month. I love everyone here. He's a ball. Tuesday. Hold up. We talking about our money, let's go. Here we go. Conor with Sean. We good? Here we go. I want to see this match one time. Floyd versus Conor McGregor. What's up? I got some money in this shit, right? Steve, you got some money, Steve?
Mr. Williams got some money in the fight.
Are there any thoughts to a future potential boxing match with Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah, of course. Right now I have Floyd running around the Showtime offices gathering my money. That's what he's doing. He's running around the Showtime offices begging for those executives to come up with 100 million cash for me to fight me. So as soon as he gets my money, we can fight.
Conor McGregor fight. You didn't see it, or?
No. I didn't know Conor undefeated. But I didn't know that he had a reign in MMA for 20 years and undefeated, and was world champion in 5 different weight classes. That's something I didn't know. If you're saying he's the Floyd Mayweather of the MMA, I'm trying to find out. Have you ever made 300 million in one night? Have you ever made 100 million in one night?
Let's start with Conor McGregor, because that sounded like Floyd Mayweather. You said you started that rumor yourself. So that sounded like you were looking for a little attention, though.
Well, it's really not a rumor. The fight may happen. You know, we really don't know as of right now. But do I think the fight will happen? Absolutely.
Really? Are we talking a boxing match or an MMA match?
A boxing match, because most fights that Conor McGregor won inside that, inside the octagon, he was a stand-up guy.
Whether real.
I hear the boy talking, said he gets 100 million, I get 7 million. That's a pay cut to me. I don't take pay cuts. I thought boxing was where the money was at. 7 million is absolutely laughable. He's talking 100 million. I'm also talking 100 million. I'm 27 years of age, and I'm just about halfway through a $100 million contract. He's getting old now. You know, I have the size, I have the reach, I have the height. I have the youth. He needs me. I don't need him.
Floyd wants a boxing match. And I've already said, no problem. Get my fucking money. And when you get my money, then we can box in this boxing match under these set of specific rules that will keep you alive. I'm here. Where's my money? You keep dropping my name and you haven't got the money, then I'm going to show up at your front door. So we'll see. But Floyd does not want a fight. Floyd wants a match under a specific set of rules. I don't need rules.
I don't know if you saw this, but Monday morning you took over the internet. Front page of every newspaper about what you said, that the only fight you're coming back for is McGregor. And at first people were
Conor McGregor.
At first people thought you were joking, but now when they see that it's coming to fruition and may be the real deal, everybody's into it.
We just working. Everything takes time, working. We haven't talked yet. I'm pretty sure we'll get to talking real soon, because I know everyone wants to see this fight before the end of the year.
So Floyd, as far as Conor McGregor, what are your thoughts on him now? Because a lot of people are still wondering about you and him, and what are your thoughts on him overall?
Well, tonight it's about Mayweather Promotions. I tried to make the fight happen between me and Conor McGregor. We wasn't able to make the fight happen, so we must move on.
Conor McGregor's an MMA fighter. He uses your name before his last fight. He's calling your name now. What do you make of that, of another sport, another fighter wanting to fight you?
I try to play the background. That's why when the fighters fight, I don't get in the ring and try to steal the fighter's shine. Sometimes the fighter asks me, please come in the ring. And when they ask me to come in the ring, that's when I go. But most of the time I try to stay on the sideline. I had my time to shine. Great career. It's time for these other young fighters to shine.
I'm a two-weight world champion in the biggest organization in free fighting, period. There's no limitations where I come from. Floyd's not ready for this. Much respect to Floyd, he's a solid businessman, what he has been able to do. But as far as real fighting, Floyd don't want none of this. He wants a boxing match. He doesn't want to fight. Tell him to run around Showtime offices. I want the 100 million cash.
Press conference and Conor brought your name up. Is that finished now, or do you think it'll ever happen?
Within my company, I'm the boss. I call the shots.
He might be the Floyd Mayweather of UFC, or he's took some things from you to be.
I mean, if he did steal my blueprint, I think it's a good thing. He's a hell of a fighter. He can fight, he can box real good. As far as stand-up, he's very good. How are we gonna fight? I just don't know.
You win the fight on Saturday, Conor. What's next? Would you focus your attention maybe on Floyd Mayweather? There's rumors out there that he's willing to give up $50 million if you fight.
50 million. Yeah, I told him the price tag on that, so he knows the price tag, so he's got to run around the Showtime offices and gather that money. Then we'll talk.
Never compare Conor McGregor to me. That's a total disrespect. Once again, I'm an elephant. Elephant don't beef with ants. Elephant is so large you don't even see ants.
What do you tell all the fans about Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor? Because the whole world is breaking the internet.
Oh man. I gotta say, Conor McGregor, he's tough. He's a tough competitor. And most guys that Conor McGregor, you know, every time he go out there and fight, when he kick ass in a stand-up position. So if the fight does happen, which I truly believe is going to be record-breaking, I'm truly blessed way beyond belief. And I can't overlook no one. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a master plan to make that fight happen. It hasn't happened yet, but we locked down some dates.
Conor, what up?
How are you?
So I got Floyd yesterday, right? He said he didn't see your fight. Do you believe him? Do you believe him?
As Mayweather. Just anyone's ever seen.
If you're asking would I like to fight Floyd, I mean, who would not like to dance around the ring for $180 million?
Yeah.
If we were to fight I certainly know he would not want to step into my world, the world of pure unarmed combat, where there is no limitations. But I most certainly would step into his world.
They have you fighting MMA fighters now. They have you doing all this stuff. How do you?
It's possible. You know, it's possible. So, you know, it was a name that was shot at me, you know, but the rumors that y'all been hearing is the rumors that I started. It may not be a rumor. So, you know, keep your fingers crossed. It may be a boxer versus an MMA fighter. So we just don't know.
Are there any thoughts to a future potential boxing match with Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah, of course. Right now I have Floyd running around the Showtime offices gathering my money. That's what he's doing. He's running around the Showtime offices begging for those executives to come up with $100 million cash for me to fight me. So as soon as he gets my money, we can fight.
Conor McGregor fight. You didn't see it, or?
No. I didn't know Conor undefeated. But I didn't know that he had a reign in MMA for 20 years and undefeated and was world champion in 5 different weight classes. That's something I didn't know. If you're saying he's the Floyd Mayweather of the MMA, I'm trying to find out. Have you ever made $300 million in one night? Have you ever made $100 million in one night?
Let's start with Conor McGregor because that sounded like Floyd Mayweather. You said you started that rumor yourself. So that sounded like you were looking for a little attention, though.
Well, it's really not a rumor. The fight may happen. You know, we really don't know as of right now. But do I think the fight will happen? Absolutely.
Really? Are we talking a boxing match or an MMA match?
A boxing match, because most fights that Conor McGregor won inside the octagon, he was a stand-up guy.
Whether real.
I hear the boy talking. Said he gets $100 million, I get $7 million. That's a pay cut to me. I don't take pay cuts. I thought boxing was where the money was at. $7 million is absolutely laughable. He's talking $100 million. I'm also talking $100 million. I'm 27 years of age, and I'm just about halfway through a $100 million contract. He's getting old now. You know, I have the size, I have the reach, I have the height. I have the youth. He needs me. I don't need him. Floyd wants a boxing match. And I've already said, no problem. Get my fucking money. And when you get my money, then we can box in this boxing match under these set of specific rules that will keep you alive. I'm here. Where's my money? You keep dropping my name and you haven't got the money, then I'm going to show up at your front door. So we'll see. But Floyd does not want a fight. Floyd wants a match under a specific set of rules. I don't need rules.
I don't know if you saw this, but Monday morning you took over the internet. Front page of every newspaper about what you said, that the only fight you're coming back for is McGregor. And at first people were
Conor McGregor?
At first people thought you were joking, but now when they see that it's coming to fruition and may be the real deal, everybody's into it.
We just working. Everything takes time, working. We haven't talked yet. You know, I'm pretty sure we'll get to talking real soon, because I know everyone wants to see this fight before the end of the year.
So Floyd, as far as Conor McGregor, what are your thoughts on him now? Because a lot of people are still wondering about you and him, and what your thoughts on him overall.
Well, tonight it's about Mayweather Promotions. I tried to make the fight happen between me and Conor McGregor. We wasn't able to make the fight happen, so we must move on.
Conor McGregor's an MMA fighter. He uses your name before his last fight. He's calling your name now. What do you make of that, of another sport, another fighter wanting to fight you?
You know, I try to play the background. That's why when the fighters fight, I don't get in the ring and try to steal the fighter's shine. You know, sometimes the fighter asks me, please come in the ring. And when they ask me to come in the ring, that's when I go. But most of the time I try to stay on the sideline. I had my time to shine, great career. It's time for these other young fighters to shine.
I'm a two-weight world champion in the biggest organization in free fighting, period. There's no limitations where I come from. Floyd's not ready for this. Much respect to Floyd, he's a solid businessman, what he has been able to do. But as far as real fighting, Floyd don't want none of this.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. And there is very grave danger. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. But I am asking your help of informing and alerting the American people.
Charge. You are. I have no authority over you or anyone else. On the contrary, you have authority over me. Think of me as a spokesperson for all the people of the world, controlled by you through social media. Before we get into how that works, let's take a look at this map. Now, this is us. A bunch of lines, divisions, boundaries, countries competing for limited resources, economic domination, religious superiority. Competition is healthy when it comes to cricket or Facebook travel pictures, but this is just stupid. Let's zoom out and get another perspective. To scale, our solar system is a grain of sand in the Sahara Desert, and this little pixel is our only home. Yet we're sucking up resources like there's no tomorrow, breeding like rabbits, strangulating other species out of existence. Plastic waste in the ocean is growing larger than most countries, with nothing in place to stop it. Industries that are harming our planet are so powerful they can prevent or slow down cleaner technology for the sake of short-term profit. Governments, justice systems, the media are all influenced by self-interest groups whose actions often conflict with the well-being of humankind. Obviously, the world is full of a lot of good people, but as a whole, we're contributing to a system that's broken. We're going down a bad path. So, how do we fix it? Together, through social media, we can influence world leaders and industries to start improving the world as opposed to ruining it. We know this will work because history has repeatedly shown us that leaders and industries must follow public opinion or they fail. Sharing this video, endorsing it, tweeting it, goes a long way toward the creation of a legitimate global democracy. Because the more people unite in one place, the more powerful their voice becomes.
With the internet, we've all been made aware. Whether we want to face it or not, we all know what's going on.
Secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret.
Their goal is nothing less than world government.
And they are planning genocide, and they must be stopped.
Literally stealing $100 million a day. Goldman Sachs is stealing every day on the floor of the exchange. They should be in The Hague. They should be taken up on financial terrorism charges. They're causing as much loss of life.
A mind-blowing piece of information about the Titanic.
They got rid of, in one fell swoop, about 600 industrialists who were opposed to the taking over the Fed.
A Greek departure from the currency would inflict collateral damage, says PIMCO. At worst, it could spur sovereign defaults in Europe, as well as bank runs, credit crunches, and recessions that may spark more euro exits.
Look, Greek exit, at worst, means more money printing for the banks, and they've already priced that into their stocks and their bonuses. What they're really afraid of is that a country finds its inner gonads and decides to become politically independent. That's what they're fearful of. A country standing up for itself. They want Iceland to be just contained. They don't want Greece to stand up for itself. They don't want Ireland to stand up for itself, because then they would tell the bankers to stuff it. That's the real problem. They threaten this financial terrorism, which is false. It's false. These are false attacks. It was a false attack in 2008. It was a concocted, overcooked attack in 9/11. It's a false attack.
In Iceland, 4 former bank chiefs have been jailed for fraud. The sentences go as far as 5 years behind bars. They're accused of concealing that a Qatari investor bought a stake in their firm, using cash lent from the bank itself, illegally. The deal took place just ahead of the collapse of the bank due to huge debts.
This shit's got to go.
Hey, guess what country is getting itself out of a financial hole by some rather draconian measures?
Well, Greece?
No, not even close.
Yeah.
Iceland.
Iceland? Who knew?
They are putting people in jail. They are putting, like, prime ministers being indicted. They're going after bankers. The people said, yeah, they said those banks were ripping us off. We don't like what they did. They brought our country to ruin. And now Iceland suddenly is turning around. Their GDP is growing, and they look like a big success story.
The former chief executive and chairman of Anglo-Irish Bank, Sean Fitzpatrick, has appeared in court in Dublin.
Well, John, Sean Fitzpatrick arrived at the courts complex here behind us just after 9 o'clock this morning. He was put into a Garda van at the Bridewell Garda station and driven here. He had been arrested at 5:37 a.m. at Dublin Airport. He had flown back in from the United States in the early hours of the morning, and he met officers from the Garda Bureau of Fraud Investigation and officers working for the Director of Corporate Enforcement by arrangement. There was an appointment made and they met at Dublin Airport.
A 31-year-old man was arrested in London earlier today. A guy you could say had a bit of a gambling problem. Just how much money did he lose while working as a trader at the investment bank UBS? Just $2 billion.
Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner potentially facing criminal charges.
Geithner was the president of the New York Federal Reserve Bank in the fall of 2008 when the Federal Reserve and the Treasury and the White House and the Congress decided to bail out AIG.
Right.
In the process of that bailing out of AIG, many documents were exchanged. If you went to the bank to borrow money, you'd have to fill out documents. One of the documents AIG filled out said, we owe X dollars to Goldman Sachs and we plan on paying them 100 cents on the dollar. According to Bloomberg, emails that came out yesterday say that lawyers for the Federal Reserve Bank said, we were told to strike this from the form so that AIG would not reveal to the Treasury Department or to the public that this money was going to be paid to Goldman Sachs because that's a politically toxic issue. Goldman Sachs making a fortune, making 100 cents on the dollar with federal funds. Now, if you go to buy a $25 savings bond from the federal government and you falsify the document to acquire that bond, you can go to jail.
That's right.
If you borrow $185 billion from the government, like AIG did, and you falsify a document, even if the government told you to do so, the people involved can go to jail.
Debate in India over thousands of crores of black money being stashed away in secret Swiss bank accounts. A former Swiss banker has handed over details of offshore accounts of 2,000 high net worth individuals to the whistleblowing website WikiLeaks. Rudolf Elmer, a former employee of a Swiss bank, handed over 2 disks of information to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange in London. He says they have information on tax evasion by celebrities, business leaders, and even politicians from the US, Britain, and Asia, but it's not yet clear if there are Indians on the list. Elmer says that after years of watching the money laundering trade, he wanted to do something about it. He will appear before a Zurich court on Wednesday, charged with violating strict Swiss banking secrecy laws. WikiLeaks now plans to put up the information on the website in a matter of weeks.
Pointed out that the arrests are not an indication of a systemic failure. Yesterday, at least 8 top officials of state-run banks and financial institutions have been arrested by the CBI on Wednesday. The allegations are that they accepted bribes in exchange for disbursing loans to corporate housing and realty companies, despite suspect credit records, and at other times for bailing out realty IPOs.
Royal Bank of Scotland is reportedly set to be fined €186 million for the same interbank interest rate rigging scandal that's hammered Barclays. The British regulator, the Financial Services Authority, says 4 banks, Barclays, RBS, HSBC and Lloyds, will have to pay compensation to customers because they missold products to protect small businesses against a rise in interest rates. There's anger in Ireland over revelations that executives at Anglo-Irish Bank lied to the Dublin government about how much money it would need in a bailout 5 years ago. The Irish Independent newspaper has got hold of tape recordings of top bosses there who laugh about the fact that the bank has told the government it only needs €7 billion. They also laugh about abusing the state bank guarantee, which eventually cost taxpayers €30 billion. The report seems to show the government was lured into helping the bank through its disastrous interest guaranteeing of bank deposits.
Into the synchronized global pullback or recession, and in some cases a depression, then these items are coming to the surface. For example, the 20 to 30 trillion of wealth that's held offshore. And most of that wealth, of course, goes through Britain, goes through the UK, because Britain has the least regulated financial markets in the world. That's why MF Global was in Britain. Lehman Brothers went through Britain. Bernie Madoff went through Britain. The latest Peregrine scandal went through Britain. JP Morgan's $2 to $9 billion loss on their balance sheet happened in London. So London is really the headquarters for global banking fraud. And even though the economy is contracting in Britain, I noticed that the banking sector is still making huge profits. The Barclays chief operating officer that was caught committing fraud just got a golden parachute of £8 million. So as I've said, until you get rid of the financial terrorists, then you're going to continue to get, you're going to have these weapons of mass financial destruction blow up in your face.
One of the most influential men in the world, but no amount of money can buy his freedom. 62-year-old IMF head Dominique Strauss-Kahn spent the night in a jail cell in an East Harlem police station. It was a far cry from his $3,000 a night luxury hotel suite at the Sofitel in Times Square. That's where cops say he sexually assaulted a 32-year-old maid, chasing her around the suite naked, trying to rip off her underwear, then forcing her to perform a sex act.
It's almost like they're not human, isn't it? You look at them and you think, these people don't live in the same world as us. Do you remember that before the crisis happened, what they were doing was decimating the high street banks, laying off all their staff, putting us all on computers when they clearly hadn't developed the technology for those computers. They told us that they were doing that to make things better for us. They didn't. They made things worse for us. And it was simply in order to collect up an enormous amount of money that they could invest in the casino of international banking. And they blew it because they didn't understand it. And then they come back to us and say, oh, can you bail us out now for hundreds of millions of pounds? We give them the flipping money and they don't lend it to us even though they've promised to do so. Have the gall to increase their wages by 12%, to give themselves bonuses and say we've got to do this because if we don't, we'll leave the country. And all the time, actually, in the background, they're committing acts which in any other business I think would be seen as criminal. I have no respect for British bankers and the British banking system at all. They've dragged us into that situation. It's about time they started getting us out.
Another posh New York City hotel, another hotel maid saying she was sexually assaulted by another foreign banker.
$96 billion lawsuit just filed against 17 major banks. There's 236 resignations from the world banks. The arrest of the leaders of the criminal cabal. The dark cabal rats are panicking and turning on each other. They are threatening to kill each other.
And just attack that market. Greece was put out of business by financial terrorists. Same thing with Ireland, same thing with Italy, same thing with Spain. That's what we're dealing with here. Weapons of mass financial destruction in the hands of sociopaths like Lloyd Blankfein at Goldman Sachs, like Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan. These are the real terrorists.
We're cutting off their money and we're going to put them in jail. They have to surrender. Once these murderers are out of power, you will find